Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 18, I'll be tying a traditional blue quill dry fly. So let's get started. Alright guys, here we go. The traditional or the classic blue quill dry fly. Place your hook in the vise, making sure that the shank of the hook is parallel with the tabletop. Alright, step number one is knowing where to place the wing. I like to use my thread as my indicator. So I wrap the thread back to the center of the shank of the hook, clip off the excess, and then I wrap back up toward the eye, but only half of that. So right there is where we're setting that wing. That's a three-quarter mark, pretty much, pretty close. So now the wing, this classic fly calls for duck wings. And it's a little tricky to get these on, to say the least, but they're beautiful looking flies. So you can see I have a left and a right wing here from a duck wing, mallard duck actually. So we're going to take a section out of each side. And the section thickness is about equal to 3/4 of the gap of the hook. So let's start out with taking a section out of the one side. And you want to get them pretty close, you know, to the same thickness from when you cut them from both quills. I'm going to wet my finger to secure that to my finger just like that. And it's curving into my finger. You'll notice that there's a natural curve to these sections. I'll show you that when I cut this one off. You can see how nice it curves. So I'm going to lay, the one that I have stuck to my finger is going to be, and I'm going to lay the other one right on top of it so that they oppose each other. And you can see how they're separated by the natural curve. So one's a little bit bigger than the other. I'm going to rectify that by pointing my scissors into the quill, into the section, and taking that off. Here we go. Now I'll just line them up, measure them up, make sure their tips are even. It's pretty close. Now we got to attach these quill sections to the hook. So there's a method. We're going to first measure the shank and include the eye for the length of the wing. And then I'm going to angle the vise right to the camera. And I'll show you what I do. I take the thread, I place a loop of thread, and I pinch it in between my index finger and thumb. And I squeeze the loop of thread, which is not even touching the wing yet. It's just hovering above it, but it's suspended in between my fingers. And then when I pull down on the bobbin, you'll see that these wings will shoot up a little bit. So here we go. We're going to give it a shot. Yep, perfect. Now, peel your fingers back carefully and wrap in that same exact area to secure the wing. Clip off the excess and cover the remainder of the excess up. Now our wings are a perfect length, and now we're going to gently pick them up, fold them back, and dam some thread up in the front. So that this should stand the wings right up. Yeah, very good. Now the tricky part. Separating the wings without splitting them. So we take our scissors, we just gently open them up a little bit, and we take our thread and we lay a figure 8 in between them. One from the back to the front, and one from the front to the back. That's it. And then just secure that with a couple of wraps of thread on the front and the back. Good. So let's, being careful not to split these wings here. Now prepare for the tail. Get your thread all the way in the back, right where the shank and the bend meet. That's where your tail is going to be placed. So we're going to take a hackle which is a dark to medium dun, whose fiber length is quite long, as you could see. So we're going to use that feather for the tail material. We're going to use the hackle fibers. So we're going to carefully draw these fibers down so that they're perpendicular to the stem. Eventually, they will be as I continue to work them down. And by working them down, they line up perfectly, as you can see. And that's what you're looking for. I'm going to grab this lower section. I'm going to grab about, maybe a ½ inch worth. Squeeze it tightly and just pull the feather away. And then you have these ends here. You just want to tap them. And there's your perfect tail. Again, you're going to measure the length of the tail to equal the shank of the hook and including the eye, just like that. And let me get the thread back a little further. So put that in that sweet spot there. Get it on top of the shank of the hook. Now you can see I have this excess here. I could cut it off, but then there'll be like a divot there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the excess from the wing and blend it in with the excess from the tail. And it'll make a nice transition for you, as you can see. Yes, perfect. You could help it out too a little bit with your thread. It shouldn't take much to build a little taper there. Okay, so now we have our wings, which are equal to the shank of the hook, including the eye, and we have the tail the same way. Everything's balanced. Now, for the body. The body for this fly calls for one section of peacock herl taken right from the eye. So you're going to cut one of the fibers off, and then you're going to strip this fuzz off from the peacock herl. So the reason why we take it from the eye is because the eye has a two-tone color to it. Only the eye. If you go below the eye, it's all one solid color, and it won't give you the same effect as I'm going to show you here. So I use my fingernail and I draw down the peacock herl and strip off this fuzz. It's not too easy to do, but with a little bit of practice, it comes off. And you'll see immediately what I'm talking about. It's got a nice two-tone color there, which will make a great segmented body for you. I still have a little bit of work to do here on this to get rid of this fuzz. But another thing you could use is a pencil eraser. That works pretty good. All right, so I'm just about there. I just got a little bit more to do. Okay, now I got most of it gone. What you want to do now is you're going to attach the tip of this, just the tip. You need to use as much as you can because there's not much there to finish a body, so you'll be really close here. So once it's secured, start your wrapping very carefully. The first wrap is usually the hardest, and then just butt them up against each other, each wrap, and you'll come off with a really nice segmented body. Looks really cool. There you go. Now, secure that. Try not to hit your wings too much because they're pretty delicate as well. 4 or 5 wraps there will secure the body. Clip off your excess. Now for your hackles. I selected 2 hackles for this fly. Let me just get a hold of these guys here. Okay. 2 medium to dark dun hackles will be perfect. There they are. Notice the downy fuzz here on both of them. You want to strip that off. Get rid of that. Expose the stem. There's the one done. Get rid of that fuzz. There's the other. Notice there's a natural curve to them too. But before that, you want to line these feathers up so that the bare stem and the hackle fibers meet perfectly together on both hackles. But notice the curve I was telling you about earlier. There's a nice curve to them. You know, they're curving down. You want them to curve down and over the fly, not up and away. So I'm going to attach those 2 hackles to the side of my neck, or shank of the hook, I'm sorry. Attach them like that. And now continue wrapping the hackle stems up just before the eye of the hook. You don't want to crowd the eye, and clip them off. The reason why I do that is because when I'm wrapping this hackle, eventually I'm going to wrap in the front of these wings. I want a nice smooth transition, as opposed to they're tied in the back and then there's no hackle stem there for a foundation and it's just a drop off. And you'll notice that when you wrap the hackle. So this should be a lot smoother. So now take the top hackle and grab it with your hackle pliers perpendicular to the stem and begin to wrap. You're going to take 3 wraps in the back. Let me just get that in the position. Cut the hackle there with my hackle pliers. Try it again. Boom. Get 1. The second hackle is in between the wing, and second hackle wrap is wrapped in between the first one and the wing, and then the third wrap behind the wing is wrapped right up against the wings. Gently grab your wings and wrap one right up in the front there, right up tightly against the wing. Now the remainder of this hackle, I want you to wrap and chase it with your bobbin thread. You want to wrap on top of the hackle, which will secure the hackle. It's a technique my dad taught me many years ago. Now work your thread back up tight up against the wing again and grab your second hackle. Your second hackle is used to fill in any gaps that you missed with your first. Okay, so let me get 1 or 2 wraps behind there. I can see an opening there. There it is. 1 more. Lean the wings back carefully. And chase it again with your thread. There you go. Secure the hackle. Clip off any stray fibers that don't align with the main group. Build a little head, and you're ready for your knot. Now there's some cleaning up to do with this fly after we apply our head cement to our knot. Again, any hackle fibers that don't cooperate with the rest of the group, get rid of. You're not going to hurt anything. A couple back here I could see. Just carefully get rid of them. Looking good. Now, I like to put a very fine coat of head cement on the body, and you can see how it nicely just brings out the segmentation. A well-balanced fly, as you could see. Blue quill, traditional blue quill dry fly. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tight lines, guys.